I want to let you in on a big secret that I just recently found out. And if I was as lucky as hopefully as what you'll be, I wish I would have learned it a long time ago. And that is the secret to success. And now, if I was in your spot when I was a 7th grader, I would have answered, you know what? It's hard work, it's talent, it's having the right coach, the right teacher, in order to support you, it's surrounding yourself with the right people. And I agree that all of those are incredibly important. But what we've been finding out, what research has been showing, is that among all things, when you're trying to be successful, that one thing is common among those people that tend to rise above, and that is their mindset, their beliefs about themselves, and specifically a belief about their capability to learn and grow. So we're going to divide our mindsets into two forms. One we call the fixed mindset, and one we call the growth mindset. Okay, so just to give you kind of a rundown, the fixed mindset, people who operate in the fixed mindset believe that their characteristics, their intelligences, how smart they are, who they are is relatively fixed. That who we are right now is who we will generally be, even no matter what we do. And so that mindset is called the fixed mindset. While the opposite end of the spectrum are people who we call the growth mindset people. Now, people who operate in this mindset believe that they're constantly changing, that their brain is like a muscle, and the fact that it is learning and growing continuously, and that our intelligences, our abilities, are always on the move, either forward or backwards, but never staying the same. So last year, I have two students in the same classroom. And their first one, the first one's name was Tommy. And now Tommy, he's like some of you in here who proclaimed that he was not a math student. And in fact, he had mom to even back him up, who said, yeah, in our household, math doesn't go much further than balancing the checkbook and doing some very basic things. So he's kind of got my math genes. Like, what? What is the math gene? Because I don't think any of us here have really gotten it. But needless to say, Tommy was operating in the fixed mindset. Why? Because he believed he was permanently and just born to be a poor math student. So with that belief, how did Tommy view effort? Well, he saw it as useless. And in fact, he didn't want to put it in because in the end, if you don't put in maximum effort, Tommy was always able to say, you know what, I'm not really in the mood today. And he was always giving himself a little gray area to say, yeah, I didn't get that, but if I would have tried, I probably could have. So it kept Tommy from giving effort, and the next part, from screwing up and from looking stupid. Because for people in the fixed mindset, that's the scariest thing, of admitting that we're short on a few things. And why is that scary? Because people in the fixed mindset believe their characteristics are permanent. And if your characteristics are permanent, a setback or a challenge is really scary. Because that's just who you are. And if there's no way out, that makes you really nervous and wanting to avoid challenges at all costs, which is what Tommy did. Because challenges to Tommy just meant, oh boy, here we go again. Here comes the frustration. Here comes all those bad experiences in the past that we would have. And then moving along kind of with his mindset, how did Tommy view feedback? Well, feedback was just something that wasn't meant to help him. Instead, it was to Tommy pointing out flaws that deep down he didn't feel like he could change, which made him incredibly uncomfortable. So he pushed off any type of feedback. He shut down when anybody wanted to help him out. And last but not least, the success of others in his class, and he was also involved in athletics, to Tommy was more of a competition, was a threat. And he saw himself in a hierarchy towards the bottom at all times because he was always comparing himself against his classmates. So now you might be thinking, okay, well that's the typical math student who might be a little bit behind or doesn't like math. But what about those students who like math? So this was student number 2 in my class, and her name was JC. And now right away, I kind of was mistaken by JC because she was very good. She had great test scores. She was always doing what she was supposed to do. But JC's belief was that she was a math student. was that she was not only a math student, but she was gifted, and that math came naturally to her. And what happened was pretty incredible, because what I found was that JC also operated in the fixed mindset. Why? Because effort to JC was actually, yes, necessary when it came easy to her. But when she faced a setback, this wasn't her. She was the gifted math student. She spent more time trying to figure out what her current grades were, where she was standing, versus working on the process and figuring out her challenges. So effort to her became something only for people who didn't get it, and that wasn't her. The problem was that in all of our classes and in her athletic events too, challenges were absolutely going to happen. So as we worked down this list for JC, challenges meant that she was shortcoming, that she didn't make the grade, that something was wrong with her because she was a natural math student. That feedback was just someone telling her something that she shouldn't really need because she's the gifted student, that she shouldn't need their help. And of course, the success of others was again a constant hierarchy battle because she was used to being up here, and she was always worried about maintaining and reinforcing her hierarchy and where she lined up in that. So the interesting part to me about these two students, one, a student who was a self-proclaimed non-math student, and the other, a self-proclaimed gifted math student, could be fixed and really helped with the same thing. And that is their view on how to learn and how to grow. And that view of not only are challenges needed, but they must be embraced. That struggle must be encouraged and expected. That it's a part of the growing process. And that only when we see that, when we see effort as absolutely necessary, when we see challenges as just a way of getting us closer, of figuring out how to do things and how not to do things, that we're getting closer to what we want. And that feedback is just somebody, a teacher, a coach, willing to spend their precious time to help you get closer to that dream. And that finally the success of others is not a threat to you or to your well-being or to who you are, but rather just a model of how to do something. But it all begins with a belief. And that belief that our brains are like muscles, and the more we work them, the more we challenge them, the more we step outside of our comfort zones and indeed feel stupid at times, the faster we will grow and the faster we will get to where we want to be. So I challenge you, because I've seen it done in the classroom, in athletic fields, in entertainment, all across the board, to take on and work for a growth mindset. And to know that challenges, mistakes will be coming, but those are all on the path that leads to your individual mastery.